Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Extra Connections here on JLJ Media. I'm James Lott Jr., your connector, and I'm here to connect you with someone who really is out there doing it and has been around for a while. She looks like she's just, so young and youthful. She has been around for a while in this business, doing acting, singing, dancing. Also, she's going to school to get her education. Well, that also, she's doing behind the scene, in front of the camera, on the side. She's doing it all. And I'm just so excited to introduce you to her, to my audience, introduce you to her, because she's already got hundreds of thousands of followers out there. Miss Briannagh D. How you doing, Briannagh?
Oh, good. Oh, that was such a lovely introduction. Thank you so much for that. I
Very
appreciate
welcome. I want to actually start with something. I was reading some comments under some of your videos on YouTube. She has a YouTube channel, folks, and you follow her at Briannagh D. And the song, your Christmas song, "Bad Christmas," which was really good.
Thank
Your voice
you.
is really good.
Thank you.
Smart to go into the Christmas market. Thank you, Mariah Carey. Um, Very smart to do that because Christmas is every year. It comes every year, right? So your song can happen every year, so to speak. But
Yes.
before we get to that, it's a bad Christmas on that. I actually just want to tell you when I was reading some of the comments, people were talking about how nice you were. They were like, "Oh my god, I met her at the airport once, and she was so great." Or I met her somewhere at this place, she was so nice. So it's a two-part question. One, how's it feel to hear people actually writing nice stuff about you? We're like that, they're meeting you. And number two, how important is fan engagement?
Yeah. So honestly, that's a really good question. I think uh it's obviously super nice hearing great things about me from people who've met me or just generally speaking, hearing good things is always wonderful. But I don't even view it as like fan engagement. I just view it as all around the board being a good person is always good. And so if you treat it like I'm just gonna be nice to everyone I meet, then it's not like a mask that you have to put on. It's just a part of who you are and it's everyday life. So I think it's important to just be good and a nice person.
No, I mean, and I totally agree with you, of course, and I think most of us agree. But I know that when you get a level of stardom or you get noticed, people know who you are. Like I say, you have a large fanning, you have large numbers on your social media platforms. So I'm sure when you walk places, they know who you are. It can be a little tricky, right? Because you're like, maybe I just woke up and I'm a little tired today, and I just want to get to. But I always feel like they're supporting you. So I always feel like you should be a nice person. That's kind of how you think.
Yeah, yeah, no, for sure. And like, there are some times where um, I will just be like, oh, I'm in chill clothes today. I'm not like, you know, dressed up or anything like that. And I allow it to be because I feel like, when you're super busy and on the go, like you just for your mental health, you need to like relax sometimes and not be wearing makeup and not be wearing super uncomfortable but stylish clothing, so yeah, I think it's okay to just for your mental health sometimes so you don't go crazy and lose it, but yeah.
Who in your life helps you with your mental health?
It's a great question. Oh, you've had a lot of great questions so
Thank
far.
you. Thank you.
Oh.
I try. I try.
Yeah. I talk to my mother a lot. I also talk to my grandmother. I, talk to my dad, my brother. So I have a lot of family members who are really great. I also have a best friend who I met in undergrad and we chat a lot. If she needs something, like the other day, she called me. It was like 3 a.m. my time, but she was having a really hard time, in a certain situation she was in, and she called me, and we were on the phone for like an hour or two, and I was like, okay, I have class in like a few hours, but I just know that like I'm here for you, and I'm hearing you, and here's my advice to you, and because I think friendships in general are also like, you got to put in something, they got to put in something, so that way it's balanced. But yeah, I have a really great, supportive, and wonderful family. So they're usually who I'll go to for mental health related stuff.
Are any of them in the business too, or just you?
Just me. Just me.
And so what were your parents? I mean, because she's also in school, folks, at Columbia University. We'll get to that in a second. That's some getting her master. That's something different too. That's really good. But I'm just wondering when you tell your parents, I like doing this, and it's entertainment. When I told my parents, they're kind of like, oh, can you make money? Like it's like, what are you gonna do? Like what are you gonna like? It's kind of not just school too. I got degrees also too, but it's kind of like, but you're like, I want to be creative. I want to be a creative. So what did your like parents say to that? You kind of told them that.
Yeah, so at first they kind of wanted to see just how motivated I was to really pursue this as a career. They were, of course, skeptical. They were like, okay, is this like just a phase? Is this something that you're actually going to stick with? And I definitely proved it to them. Like, I was obsessed with singing, obsessed with, I would go online and like Google different techniques. And so I really tried to throw myself into it. My mom gave in and allowed me to get voice lessons and all this stuff. And so I would go on auditions. I still kept up with school. The promise is like, you gotta keep up with good grades and make sure you're not slacking grade wise. So I, yeah, they were at first on the fence, but they saw how passionate I was about it and that I was really serious about it. So they were like, all right, we'll support you because this seems to be a true passion, but you have to make sure that you're keeping up with school so that way you have a backup plan.
Yeah, no, I get that though. Just like, we want to see, we always want your kids to do better than you always. That kind of that whole thing. So you're like, what do you want to do? Because this business is up and down and all around, as we know, and you know this now too. You've been around for a while. You know this is like, whew, 1 minute you're on, next minute you're looking for the next gig. We're gig workers. We're looking for the next thing, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
It always is that way. I don't think there's like a pinnacle you can reach where it's like I could just sit back and like all the stuff will come to me. Like you always have to be on the look for like what's next.
Yeah, I agree. Do you remember? It's just I have notes stuff, but this actually is not on my notes. It's just talking to you brought this up. Do you remember the first moment as a creative that you went, "Oh, okay, I'm doing this"? Like, is there a moment you're like, "I'm," because you sung with certain people, you've been on a certain show. Like, is there a moment you remember you go, "Yeah, I'm in this business"? You remember one of those moments?
Yeah, but oh yeah. I
You've
ha
done so many things. You've done so many things. So I mean,
Thank you. I think that moment when I was on *Vark was like a really great breakthrough moment, especially for just my confidence because I did feel really stagnant before that moment. I had, some great moments in the beginning, like when when I sang at the Apollo at 11, that was like, obviously amazing, but to kind of keep up that momentum, um, to be on Vark when I believe I was 14 at that time, it's like, okay. So that's like something that I have like to my resume that people can kind of look to and that I can point to and be like, oh, look, this is still going. It's still things are going well. And so just kind of trying to maintain is can be difficult because you always have to be doing like something big, like, oh, what's the next big thing that you're doing? And then also more recently, I believe this was a year ago now, a little over a year ago when I was in a Nike commercial. And so like just being in there with those big names was beyond. I was like really blown away when that.
folks, 1 second. When she says big name, she talking LeBron James, Travis Scott, and Devin Booker. So we're talking some names you may have heard. These LeBron, some guy who plays basketball. The big names, but yes, as you were saying, big names. Yes.
Yeah, so I think that there are those moments, but it's after I think after you get like, oh, I got the big thing, it's like, okay, now how do I sustain that? Now how do I maintain that? Because I have to keep those big things coming and they don't necessarily always just land into the palm of your hand, you gotta kind of do some work and get there yourself a lot of
Yeah.
times.
Oh yeah, no, you do. I mean, it's like you get something, you enjoy it, you make sure you gets out there, and then you're on to the next job. It's like there's another job, and
Yeah.
I always say I never want to be at my pinnacle yet. I want to make sure that I want it still over there because it's gonna be fun to get there, right?
Yeah, the journey is so much fun. It's almost like addictive. You don't want to stop. It's like, okay, I have to search for the I have to what's next? And then once you get it, you feel so good.
I agree with that completely. And I have a couple of friends who are having in the business having some wins right now. And they were saying something like, yeah, it's just kind of this is kind of cool, but just knowing that another big thing could be just down around the corner also is very exciting, right?
Yes, yes.
I like that. You like that. I have to ask you because you are one of the few in our business who actually who has performed at the Apollo. You know, this legendary. My family, my mother's from New York, so legendary. Come on, folks, legendary space. And I mean, in Black culture history, in just American music history, New York history. Did you know? Because you were young, I know you were young, but did you know the importance of the Apollo when you went in?
I did. I did. I knew to rub the little tree trunk before going
Yes,
on. Good luck. So I knew that. I knew I saw like even just walking in the big names like Michael Jackson was, obviously like I
yes.
mean, come on, it's Michael Jackson. So I was like, wow, this is incredible. And I think around that time I was rough relatively new to Instagram, so I was like posting a whole bunch of things like on my we didn't have stories back then. I don't think Instagram was
Yeah,
even
that's
up
right.
yet.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I was just like posting like, "Oh my gosh, look at this thing at the I'm gonna go on stage tonight." And like, "Look at this thing. Look at." And I was like posting a whole bunch of just stuff from that day because I was so excited. But yeah, no, it was it was such a moment, and I told my entire family, and a lot of them were able to come out because I do have a lot of family in New York, like some aunts and uncles and stuff like that. So it was a really special moment, and I definitely did not take it for granted.
I know. I just like, just I because I've been in there obviously not as a performer, but I've been there as a spectator. But it's a legendary theater, and you feel it right when you go in. You do feel the weight of like all I mean from Gladys Knight to Dionne Warwick to like I said Michael Jackson. Like, they performed here, you know, in there in this legendary space in a
Yeah.
legendary part of New York. I mean, it's a part of it's a part of Harlem. It's just this lots of history, lots of history. I love that. I do.
Yeah.
But you say so. I'll ask you about Bad Christmas. Move around a little bit. I want to go back to Bad Christmas. So, what was the impetus of doing a Christmas song?
I wanted something out. I wanted something to be out before the year was up because um, I'm trying my absolute hardest to put out music as consistently as possible. And sometimes, obviously it's not like one person involved in the whole process of not only creating the song, but releasing the song and having a plan for, all that follows. So it is a lot of work to just put out even one song, and I don't think people realize all that goes into it. So I was like, okay, by the time 2024 is up, I need a song out. So since it'll be that time of year, um I'm gonna do a Christmas song. And I always kind of wanted to have a Christmas song. I had been saying that like to myself prior. So in August, I was like, I have some months now. Let me get to it. And so it might have even been July, but I think it was August. I was just like writing. I was like, okay, some song lyrics, some song ideas going back and forth. And then I recorded it, I believe, in September. Then we shot the video in October. Then I put it out in November. So yeah.
It's good. No, it's good. And it's the folks who wrote the song, folks. She wrote it. Hello, folks. That's where it is. That's where it's at. Songwriting. But no, your voice is really beautiful. Who are some of your influences in terms of singing?
Oh yeah, definitely Whitney Houston. I mean, rest in peace, but she was the voice. She was the greatest to ever do it, in my opinion. And I don't think we'll ever have a talent quite like her. So, Yeah.
Voice is very versatile. I didn't realize that until after she died. I mean, every album that came out, I bought them. I mean, every time she came out an album, I bought it. But I didn't realize until later she was so. I mean, her voice was so effortless. I know she worked hard at it. She came from a musical family. I get that, but it was like when she opened her mouth, it just magic came out. Right?
Yes, yes. And I looked at some of her performances throughout different years and different eras of her career, and it always blew me away because some of her performances actually sounded, I mean, the same, if not better, than the recorded versions. Like, oh my gosh. I mean, to be able to do that is, I mean, that speaks for itself. It takes true talent to do that. So,
How do you balance? How do you are you an organized person? Like, how do you balance school, any acting stuff that's coming up, singing, songwriting, producing, whatever it is you're doing? Are you an organized person? Are you organized?
what's so crazy is, as you briefly mentioned, I assume you probably have more questions about this coming up if I were to guess, but I am in, I'm getting my master's in journalism. And so journalism is so unpredictable because you're reaching out to sources, you're trying to set up interviews. I'm taking a video class where they have to be on camera, they have to consent to being on camera, you have to call them, they like, oh, I can't do it anymore. You have to have a backup plan. You got to walk around with your all of your equipment and film them, come up with questions. Like, it's a lot because you're working around their schedule, they're not working around yours. And so it's kind of similar with acting and singing at times because there will be things that just the night before they're like, we need you to be here tomorrow. We need you to have XYZ ready. And that's that. And if you don't come, then it's a missed opportunity. So it's hard to be organized when there are so many last minute things that just happen on the fly, but uh I just try to handle it in the moment as best as I can and try to stay ready regardless so I don't have to get ready. Um so yeah. Yeah.
You sound like me. I'm like I just do different things. Excuse me. That I'm just like I just handle it. I just handle it in the moment. Like because I have a bachelor's in journalism. So years from 1,000 years ago when there were dinosaurs roaming the earth. I did that, and I worked for a newspaper when they had newspapers back in the day. Um, but no, you're right about journalism, which was so fascinating. Is the actual act of journalism is a lot of different components just out there, and you're having to manage those components if you can, right? I mean,
Yeah.
but you can't
Yeah.
to get that story or get that research or to get that whatever it is you're working on. It's just you're almost at their mercy, and I say there meaning just the elements or whatever it is at their mercy, right?
Yeah, yeah, you need that expert source, you need, man on the street interviews. Just there's so much that goes into just one clip. And obviously, probably like B-roll and so many different elements. Then you have to come up with a script. So just that like short 1 minute, 30-second video you see of news or a piece of news that comes out, there's so much that goes behind it.
Yes, and live. I did live. I was at a network for 6 years, and I did live almost every single time. And so now I'm ready for live. Like it really teaches you to do all of what you just said, almost on the fly sometimes, or 5 minutes before. It's a great way to see what you're made of. I think if you're a journalist or do anything or live hosting or anything, I think it is. I mean, I'm assuming you agree with that on some level, right?
Yeah, no, for sure, for sure. And we're learning how to edit. We're learning just a whole bunch of stuff. And I think, yeah, kind of like what you said, it's just you have to learn how to adapt. And it's exciting because you can test yourself and see, oh, what's my new limit this time? Am I able to go this far? And then when you are, it's like, oh, I didn't even know that about myself. So it's fun in that
I
sense.
I totally agree with that. It's so much fun. I tell you, folks, she has so many things she does. I'm just like, so what made you okay? So you first go to college, you get your bachelor's. You're like, okay, I'm good. I got okay, folks, I went to college, right? I'm good. Most people are like, I'm done. But you decide to get your master's. What made you decide to do graduate work? What made you decide to continue? Actually,
Yeah, I always really believed in education. My parents did as well. Of course, they, wanted me to keep going, um, as far as my education was concerned. But I just felt like I didn't want to stop there. I felt like, you know what, I need more than one degree. I need that sense of stability and knowing like, okay, if anything were to happen and I were to never book another acting or singing gig again, I don't just have a bachelor's, I have a master's too. Like I have mastered this field. You can't say that I haven't. This is proof. And then also just to, I mean, you can always continue learning. And so I think like why stop there? Why not just, have that extra sense of like I've solidified this thing. So
I
I
bet.
felt that would happen if I got a master's, and we're almost there. I have until May 21st, I believe, is graduation day.
Oh
So
my goodness, so it's really coming up. Oh, congratulations, that's coming up. Oh my god, it's so good.
thank you.
Um, I'm just gonna say out loud because I have one myself. I wonder if we might see Dr. D one day.
Oh,
I have a
yeah,
doctorate, but I'm wondering if you might. I mean, I can see you. I mean, possibly. I mean, we got free Dr. D.
thank you. Thank you. It's something that I've thought about. I feel that I might just go right into working after this. And also I really want to have, because as a full-time student, there are obviously certain things I just can't do because I just don't have the time for it. It's like, okay, if I do this, I'm going to miss a class. And if I miss more than one class, then it's a conversation with my dean, and I don't want to have that conversation. So, I can only do as much as I can, and I definitely do as much as I can. I definitely do. Um, so I think that once I'm able to complete my master's and just have that degree and have that sense of stability, um, I want to really just go as hard as I can with my career in
Good.
acting and singing, because I haven't really had that opportunity to just not have to balance work and school. Yeah, well, yeah,
Work,
work.
yeah, well, yes, it is. Right, it is. Work at school, yeah.
Yeah, so I would really like to see what could happen when I'm not in school and really focusing on that. Um, I think a lot can happen, and I do know that, I'm getting into my mid 20s pretty soon, so the industry is very age conscious. And I'm just aware of that,
Yeah,
so
it is. Well, you're right. It is. I mean, it's
yeah,
not a lie. It's the truth.
yeah.
It is. And but no, I get it though. It's like you've done was I guess 8 years of school. Well, you've done 12. Then I mean, you're like, okay, I want to go out there and just do this. Go out there, see what happens in the industry, and like attack it on all fronts, which I believe you will do. I'm not. I am not even. I don't even. I know you will. You'll go out there and your prongs will go out there, and you'll be like this and this and this.
Thank you.
I know you. I know you will. But congratulations on the graduation. That's great. It's coming up. It'll be good. You have a graduate.
Thank you.
Um, but now, am I correct? There's something happening this year where are you co-hosting a celebrity music reality competition show? Is that true, or is that not happening? Is that how? Like, what's going on?
So, there is a TV show that I've filmed my part already on that. I am not too sure about the details and specifics of when it will be coming out, and they're just currently undergoing different changes with how the show is going to be presented and formatted and everything. So, I guess I can't speak too much on
Yeah,
it at this moment. My hope is that it will be out in 2026,
yeah.
but it was a great experience, and
Astros are fun. At the very least, was it a fun experience?
Yes, definitely, definitely. And I think I can say this. I was able to record a song for that show as well. So hopefully it all comes out and yeah, because it was fun.
Doing doing a reality competition show thing, were you pleasantly surprised by anything? That's very different than just doing a show. I mean, like this is about people competing for something. So
Yeah. Um, it was very much it was still quite similar to that of regular television shows in the sense that there was like a set or multiple
right.
sets and stuff like that, of course, the logistics. But um, I think it was just cool to be around the caliber of industry people who I was around for that show. I think that was an experience that will stay with me
Yeah.
forever, regardless of, what ends up happening. Um, and yeah, I think it was really cool. We filmed some really cool scenes as well, and yeah, just got to meet some really great people. So it was a really great experience.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think in this business, folks at home, sometimes projects, sometimes they come out, sometimes they don't. Sometimes things get cut, sometimes things don't. Some things come out years later. This is one of those things that happens. But I'm with you, Brianna. I'm very much a person like, I can still say either I enjoyed the experience, collect the experiences, the memories. You still worked on something within your business. That's like when auditions, you get to still do something in your business. That's kind of the fun part. I mean, like you still get to do it, right?
Yeah, and I met some really really legendary individuals in the music industry through that as well. And so I'm really grateful for that element of it too, because there's some projects where you don't meet people who've been in it for a while and know the ropes and certain things about the industry and can give you advice or even just being kind to you and you're like, "Oh wow, look at this person who is so down to earth and wonderful." So, yeah, those again are like experiences you can't take away.
Yeah. It's one of those things where we know it's a business and you get on some sets and it's just a machine. It's like, we got to get this done because there's money involved, there's time involved, there's like that. But occasionally you'll get on sets where you do get to know your co-people and who you're working with. And when they share experiences and it's a wonderful, it's not just about the money and the time and the lights it's like you get to have some fun too sometimes.
Yeah, 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 yeah. And it's funny because there was someone who showed up to the set who I hadn't seen in years. And I knew him from when I was maybe like 16,
Oh,
17, and
wow.
yeah, and so I was like, "Oh my gosh." And he wasn't in the show, but he knew some people who were a part of the show and everything. I was like, "Oh my gosh, I haven't seen you in years." And so it was like a great little reunion moment. So yeah, you never know what can happen sometimes. Like it's a great experience. So
Okay, as I get, you're great to talk to, and I'm so excited for what's coming up for you. The world is yours, the
yeah.
world is yours out there. But I kind of want to end this with, what advice would you give to people who want to get into the business, who are young, want to get into the business, um, and just from what you've learned so far?
I would say don't it's hard. It's one thing to say it and another thing to do it, and I understand that, but don't let the rejection get to you personally because it really isn't personal. It's just maybe you weren't the right fit for that specific role, but there's a bigger and better role that you're perfect for and that you will get if you just keep going. So I would definitely say never give up because for me, that was the secret sauce. I just kept going. I didn't give up. I'm still doing it. I've been doing it since I was around 8, so it's been 15 years. And you know, just and as you continue to do it, you start to recognize certain patterns, see, oh, this type of person in the industry, is maybe someone I shouldn't be in the same circles with, and you just kind of store that information in your mind and you can be more strategic as you move forward.
I like that. That's good advice. I do. Rejection is part of the business, folks. Just anybody against this business, no's are part of the business. And also, no, I'm gonna give advice to you, Brianna, and to folks out there. Also, my little piece of advice going along with that, and that is sometimes for you, no is good too. Not all money is good money. Not all opportunities are good opportunities. It may seem that way sometimes, but trust your gut. And sometimes if you need to reject something, it's okay.
I think that I actually have received what you just said in such a different light as a 23-year-old compared to if you told me that at, say, 13. And I'm really grateful to you for saying that. So thank you for that advice.
My pleasure. I'm going to put in the bottom of under the description where you can follow her, of course. But I want her to say it out loud. Where can they follow you if they want to continue watching your journey?
You can follow me at Briannagh D. Pretty much all my socials are at Briannagh D. That's BRIANNAGHD. Instagram is, a platform pretty much everyone uses. So Briannagh D there, Briannagh D for my YouTube. And if you look up Briannagh D, you'll find a lot of different sources and things to click on that'll take you somewhere to stuff related to me. So
it's true. Yeah. She's out there, folks. True. She's out there. It'll get you there. But I will put underneath the description too where you find her, where you can find her. It's specifically. Can we get my words together? For sure. This is another edition of Extra Connections. I'm James Lott Jr. You can follow me where all James Lott Jr.'s are sold. I'm everywhere. From TikTok to YouTube to IG to X and Blue Sky. I'm everywhere. Just everywhere. Type in James Lott Jr. or JLJ Media and follow us. Extra Connections is on Facebook. Brianna, thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you for having me.
My pleasure. You get to come back again sometime. And folks, support the arts. I say this every episode, but I really mean it. Support arts in schools, support arts in churches, support arts wherever you find them in community centers. It's been shown that painting, singing, dancing, acting, all that stuff does help in other areas of life, especially when it comes to math and sciences and English and anything. It's a cultural thing. Also, we have a rich culture in America of all kinds of arts. But please, let's support the arts in our young people. Let's not forget about that. Let's keep that going. It's just as important as everything else in our society. See you next time.